So, I was inspired by the upcoming Marvel event called Age of Ultron to review another Ultron-based story focused on Avengers and involving a very cool it's pretty much a very cool but very underrated Ultron story. And that is called Ultron Unlimited. Now, Ultron Unlimited is a story that was brought in the early 90s or mid-90s of Avengers. It was during the Avengers run with Kurt Busiek and George Perez. And George Perez did the artwork, and Kurt Busiek did the writing. And that is an awesome freaking team. Let's face it, that is frickin' awesome team. Now, the story pretty much revolves around... It starts out with the Avengers kind of under a lot of media fire and political fire for saying they have too much power. They're too powerful and they're a little too dangerous, and they're trying to defend themselves and make themselves look good they're trying to make themselves look good in the public eye. And furthermore, in comes Wasp, who reveals that Hank Pym is missing. Hank Pym's been kidnapped, and it's revealed to be Ultron. While this is going on, the Avengers get also a call from the UN saying that Ultron has attacked a small European country called Salonia, which is a made-up Marvel country town thingy-mabob. You know how it goes. And they watch in horror as, the general of the this general from the U.S. Army is just telling them while they're watching these recorded tapes of watching Ultron just systematically, by himself. Keep in mind, this is Ultron all by himself, systematically destroying this entire town. Men, women, no survivors. Men, women, and children all gone. And Ultron then proclaims, this will be the capital of my new machine empire. And while this is going on, another group of Avengers who are looking for Hank Pym run into Alchema. Now, if you don't know who Alchema is the second wife of Ultron. Ultron tried to create another wife after the first debacle with Jocasta. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I hope so. But she betrayed him, and Alchema also betrayed him because she was too much like Ultron, and she's trying to get in on Ultron's schemes as well. And she doesn't really play a part in here, but apparently later on she does. Now, Ultron, however, has pretty much wiped out this country, and a small group of Avengers are going there. It's Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, and Firestar, and a few other Avengers as well. Meanwhile, Ultron is kidnapping he's kidnapped the Vision, Wanda, Wonder Man, Wonder Man's brother, the Grim Reaper, not actual Grim Reaper, he was mercenary villain, Grim Reaper. Yeah, someone said Green Reaper. Yeah. And a few others like the Wasp and all of them, and he's kidnapping them for an unknown purpose that I'll talk about later on. Meanwhile, while this is going on, the Avengers are prepping for, going to to the wiped out country and taking down Ultron. And also, the entire world bands behind the Avengers. That's the weird thing. They kind of drop the whole public image thing real quick. That's only discussed in the first issue, the first part of the story, and then it gets dropped immediately after Ultron wipes out the entire country. Then again, I think I just answered my own question with Ultron being the bigger villain. And when I say the whole world, I mean everyone. Even countries that hated each other all band behind the Avengers to battle Ultron. And I'm talking to everybody. Russia, India, Pakistan, Iraq, Israel, and basically every major country in the world, everyone who has a standing military decides, yeah, the Avengers will lead us into battle. And Captain America's like, okay, yeah, we're good with this. And he doesn't really like the idea of having people to fight them, but then he realizes Ultron now has a standing army in that country. And when I say army, it's every Ultron incarnation that was ever in the Marvel Universe up to that point. I'm talking every version of Ultron, and then even Ultron drones, and even the people that he's killed, he turns them into these cyborg creatures. So Ultron has reached a whole new level in here, and even though, like I said, Captain America isn't cool about the idea of having all these countries and having these soldiers die, he does, however, understand that, yeah, if we can't take on an entire nation of Ultrons and, the world has a right to defend itself. We can't always be there, so he allows it, and everyone in the world invades Salonia to destroy Ultron. While this is going on, the main Ultron has brought together everyone that he's kidnapped and tells them, we're a family, This is a very disturbed Ultron. You know how Ultron is always based on logic or something? This one is very much based on... He is very much based on emotions or something. Like, he's kind of like, oh yeah, we're a family, you created me. And he's just taunting Hank Pym, who at the time, Hank Pym was not doing good mentally. And Hank Pym feels the most responsible for this, because Ultron, he created Ultron. This is every death. He basically, he says in one part of the comic where he says, every death that he's caused, every pain, every suffering he's done to the world, it comes back to me because I made him. I gave him my brain patterns, I built him, and he's my responsibility. He's my curse to the world. So this really does have some focus on Hank Pym, who's not part of the Avengers at the time. He was kind of doing his own thing, and he's trying to rectify this, even though he's not doing good mentally. And this is also pretty good. I mean, it does focus on Wanda and Simon William, aka Wonder Man's relationship a little bit, because she had divorced from the Vision, or proceeding to divorce from the Vision, excuse me. And she's now trying to hook up with Wonder Man, and the Vision's kind of stalking her, which is kind of weird. And all in all, this is a very good story. This is a very hard-hitting story. Thor does some major damage to Ultron. You actually hear Ultron scream in pain when he gets struck by lightning. And Thor says, for Midgard. Rather than for Asgard, he's chanting for Midgard and just going through all these Ultron copies. And everyone's doing pretty good. I mean, like Black Panther, he plays a good part in here. He kind of warns everyone of the Ultron incursion. This is a pretty damn good story. Everyone is really on their edge, and Ultron is on his A game because he has everything he ever wanted. He is throwing, he is really throwing down in this one. He's taking no survivors. And this is a really good story. If you're looking for really good Ultron stories to get you in the mood, if you're interested in Age of Ultron, then I'd definitely pick up Ultron Unlimited. This is a very shining experience, a very big shining moment for Ultron, and a very good example of why he's my favorite Marvel villain. There I say, yeah, he's my favorite Marvel villain. This really just shows of how scary and how intimidating he is, and how he psychologically, damaged Avengers. He's kind of psychologically damaged them, especially Hank Pym. And there's just this great moment of Hank Pym just pummeling Ultron. He's like screaming, "You're not my son." Because that was the thing. Ultron kind of taunts him, as like he calls him father and all this. He's like, "You're not my son. You're some abomination that I am going to, fix right now." He's just pummeling him until Wasp has to come in and say, "You're done. He's dead. He's dead." And Ultron is just little bits, but we are like, yeah, we all know he'll be back. So that's pretty much my review for this comic book. Yeah, pick it up. I don't know if you can find it or not. This is a very early Marvel 90s trade. I found it in a comic book shop that I was just browsing through. I'm like, I like Ultron, I like Avengers, this will be fun. And it very much was fun. I really highly enjoyed this comic very much. This is a definite get for me if you're an Ultron fan or an Avengers fan. So, yeah, that's really all I gotta say on this. Later.